Hello Internet, it is I, InsaneLayne, and it's time for WestWorld, Season 1, Episode 4. Alright, we open on Dolores and Bernard having one of their secret chats again. She tells him, my parents are dead, and that really sucks, and it hurts. And he says, I can turn that off. But she says, no, it's making me feel different, I'm growing, I'm changing, I want to see where this goes. Bernard she also says, some things that Bernard thinks don't sound quite right, so he's like, where did that come from? And she says, okay, part of it is from here, part of it's from over here, I put it together myself. So we know now that she's starting to rewrite some of her programming. She doesn't seem able to completely override it yet, or add new things from outside of things that she's experienced at one point, but she is starting to do collages of those experiences and form something sort of new. So that's definitely interesting. She does ask him for help, but she can't say what kind of help, what she wants. She thinks there's something wrong with the world, or maybe with her. She also references the maze that Black Hat guy is looking for. And Bernard tells her it's a secret game to play. And he tells her that finding the center will set her free. Then she wakes up back with Jimmy and Friend. I found out their names in this episode, but I'm not saying them till I get to that point in the episode. This one thing, though. Jimmy, Friend, and Dolores are out in the middle of the desert at this point. They're not in town anymore. I mean, they're sleeping rough on the rocks. And, how did Bernard, sneak Doris away to, some underground room? Do they have, trap doors everywhere that she walked through or something? How did she get away without them noticing and come back without them noticing? How did this happen? A little bit of an explanation there. I mean, I know there could quite possibly be trap doors or something that's entirely plausible, but you never know. I just want to see how he does it. Random thought on the maze when Bernard was telling her about it. This seems like an odd thing. How would Bernard know about it unless everyone knows about it? It makes me wonder if it's some kind of a failsafe. If a host is critically damaged or their core programming is breaking down, they're told to go there and they'll somehow die or be removed. But why not just pull them out like we've seen before? Why the secrecy in the game and whatever? Let's see. And also seeing a host that go there, being told to go there, again makes me have the thought that maybe Black Hat is the host. But we'll get more on that actually in this episode, which I like. We get to see finally some more of Black Hat. Really since the first episode. The two in between, we didn't get a lot of him. Just little bits and pieces of him finding clues and killing people, but not a lot of actual character. But for now, we're over with the prostitutes, and they're talking about sex. And Maeve is trying to remember something, and a guy laughing seems to make something come back, and then she sees her friend dead and herself dead from a past cycle of a guy was shooting up the place, killing everyone, and she starts to remember the cleanup crew coming in and taking her and being repaired, and she comes back to where she is, but she can't shake something is wrong. So she goes upstairs and starts looking in the mirror, and she's feeling her stomach, she's looking for the bullet wound that she remembers being there, and she finds there's a spot of blood on her top. So she draws a picture of what she saw of the guy in the clean suit, and it looks like an alien drawing or something. It's really cool, actually. And I guess she's got a hidden compartment under the floor, so she says oh, I'm going to put the drawing in here to keep it safe, but when she opens it, she finds there's a whole stack of these drawings. So she's done this before, several times before. She's starting to figure out the loop, that it's being repeated. And I love that she finds a stack of drawings, because I love when a show goes one step ahead of the audience a little bit, and that was just a really nice touch of you think you're seeing this for the first time, that she's just coming to this realization now because the audience is just coming to it. But when she finds the rest, it's oh snap, she's been doing this for weeks possibly, and that it just takes it to a whole other level of horrifying. And props to the actress, because it's all played through, like, facial expression. There's no dialogue. She's got no one to play against. So, like, props to her for really just using her face instead of words. And it works very well. I hope she becomes a bit of a bigger character. Where are we now? We go over to, Elsie. Good old Elsie, tech girl. Trying to figure out what went wrong with the host that tried to kill her. And I gotta say, the makeup on that prop body or a very short actor with like a huge headpiece on, I don't know, it's awesome. It looks friggin' disgusting and gross and deformed and just, it's very awesome. And they want to bring up, I guess the hosts have internal cameras, or maybe they record what they see. I don't know, it's not fully explained, but the thing is so badly damaged it might not work. But they want to try. Elsie wants to see, like, what was he seeing? What did he do when he was wandering? What's going on? But boss lady steps in and says, "Oh no, my private team is going to handle this, and we don't need to look at the video." Elsie gets pissed off at Bernard, and she lets him have it. She's like, "What is going on? What is being covered up? Something is going off here." And Bernard shuts her down. He shuts her down hard. He basically says she's a first-year med student, you know, get over it, they're not real, and that's not Orion, by the way. I finally get a name for the black hat friend. His name is Logan. White hat Jimmy wants to take Dolores back to town, of course, because, you know, damsel in distress, I gotta take her back to family and whatever. But Logan, black hat friend, is, no way, man, you dragged my ass out into the desert when I could have been fucking every whore in town. We're gonna get this stupid bounty. Alright? So he's like, I need to kill something. And he thinks he's smart for a minute, because he thinks Dolores being sent to his friend is intentional. That it's the game designers manipulating it because they saw the two of them kind of flirting in town, so of course they send her out here to make him happy, because that's what this place is designed to do. It's designed to make you happy, and his friend has been, you know, noticeably unhappy. He's been very blah. You know, and it's so weird, the idea that this is where you bring the guy that's going to marry your sister, and you're encouraging him to, like, fuck everything in sight, and be really violent. Like, I don't even know. Then we finally get over to OG Black Hat. He is now the only one I'll be referring to as Black Hat, as Black Hat friend is Logan now. He says, he says he's done everything that you can do in the park, which is possible. He did say he's been coming here for 30 years, so I would think in all that time, yeah, he's done probably everything he could think to do. He's been the good guy, he's been the bad guy, he's been the really bad guy, he's probably shot up the whole town a couple of times, and says that he's looking for the true meaning of sort of it. And, you know, again, paralleling what Bernard said, that it will set you free if you find it or something. And he said something similar to that before. Then they find a naked lady with a very interesting snake tattoo. I love the tattoo, the idea of it, and the design. It's a very, like, non-traditional kind of design, especially on a woman. So it's really nice. Then we, she's not alone though, so they get surrounded, and they banter for a bit, and then Black Hat shoots a couple of people and basically invites himself to join their gang. And she's like, yeah, okay, you can tag along. Then we go to the Hunger Games control room, and Dolores, being outside of her loop, has finally caught someone's attention, because she doesn't usually, her host doesn't wander into the desert. She'd have no reason to be there, but she is there. But the problem is, they don't know if this is, a problem, because maybe she's with a guest who asked her to escort them, which she would, or it could be Ford, because he's disrupting so many storylines with all his crazy antics that hosts are in areas they shouldn't be, things are getting disrupted, and so they're not sure. Spec Ops guy says, have Dolores' behavior looked at later, we'll see if she's malfunctioning. Then we have Dolores is in the Spanish village now, and she meets the orphan girl, and the girl says, remember, and Dolores sees a flash of a church that has the steeple that we saw burned before. So at some point the church was burned down, presumably with people in it. Is that, you know, what's haunting Ford? It seems to be. Did he do it? Did Black Cat do it? Did Arnold do it? Something happened. Something happened. The little girl draws the maze in the dirt and then has vanished. Then a man comes and tries to take Dolores home to the ranch, but she doesn't want to go. I assume this is the behavior tech coming to take her, but White Hat Jimmy steps in and says, you know, never mind, she's with me. So the guy leaves, backs off. He's like, okay, she's doing her job. She's fine. Then we cut to Black Hat and a gang, where literally they just say that they're waiting for directions to where they're going. The scene is oh god, it's 7 seconds fucking long. Then back to Dolores and co, and god, the jumping around. They flirt a little when he mentions her old life, and then she remembers being cleaned up from before after, you know, seeing everyone dead and her being shot, and so this is becoming a recurring thing. It's the, you know, it's the reveries that Ford wanted. He's definitely causing this. I'm all in on that. He's doing this on purpose. I'm just not sure to what end. A little more on that later, because he says some very odd things in this episode. What am I saying? The guy has only said odd things in the entire show. Like, that's part of what I love about the character, because everyone is here. He's here. Like, he's playing a different game than everyone else, and he's secretly having a laugh at everyone because they're reacting one way because they think something is one way, and really he knows the truth, and you know, he's having a laugh while he goes about his machinations and his plans, and you know, and he basically says something to that effect later on, and more than for now. Let's see. Oh yes, we go to Black Hat, and it's night now, so you gotta rest, and the whole gang's sitting around, they're having dinner, and it seems there is one other real person in the group, at least one, and he goes up and tries to talk to Black Hat, which does seem to confirm that Black Hat is real, that he is a real person, because another real person is speaking to him, and starts speaking to him about things from the real world, so we get a little information. One thing I love, though, is the guy's trying to thank him, because apparently Black Hat's company has some kind of charity foundation that saved her life. So the guy's like, really like, sir, it's such an honor to be able to like talk to you, and you saved my sister. And Black Hat, just in perfect form, is like, fuck off, I'm on vacation. Talk again and I'll slit your fucking throat. It's amazing. Just the delivery, the nonchalantness. And you believe it. He will kill this real person right now if dude does not fuck off. So it's great. We actually stick with him for longer than 7 goddamn seconds. They're heading to an old prison. They gotta steal something, and Black Hat says, "Okay, I don't need all you idiots with me. I can pull this off myself. All I need is a match." And she's like, "Oh really, Mr. Tough? What do you want then? If you go get it for me?" And he's like, "All I want is the story on the tattoo. You keep the money or whatever it is, the valuable thing, it's all yours. I just want the story." Alright. So now he mentions Arnold. This confirms there's a connection between him and Ford, and apparently Bernard, because Bernard knows a little bit of Arnold too. And he says the only thing you can't do here, the one rule, is you can't die in the park. But Arnold broke that rule. He did die in the park. And Black Hat says, "I think he left a secret story." I like this. And it fits, because seriously, if you were going to, you know, if you were just so horrified by your own creation and what it become, which seems to be what Arnold was, he didn't want to let the money people in because he thought they would corrupt the place, and basically they did. So yeah, the idea that he would leave like some kind of hidden, you know, this is what I really intended message, or something. It's interesting, and honestly, could not help but think of all things, the ending to FNAF World, the secret ending, where spoilers, seriously, spoilers for FNAF in a review of WestWorld. Can we just take a second? Spoilers where Henry lets one of the bots, his own animatronics, kill him, probably Baby. So that parallel seems interesting. I highly doubt that has anything to do with each other. But yeah, he'll need one match. Oh, I'm so sorry. And then we cut to a next scene, and oh my god, we're still with Black Cat and crew. We're actually with the same people for like 3 scenes in a row. That's unprecedented. So yeah, and they're in a carriage with, Lawrence, and like a marshal guy, and Black Hat pulls out some cigars, that he brags about were made in the same fashion, as Malkovich's desk from Dangerous Liaisons. Oh god, the outside references in this one, really. They make it to the prison. They use Lawrence's wanted status to get in. It seems Black Hat is wanted too, or they're pretending he is, because he gets thrown in a cell with somebody else who's wearing a very fancy black hat. Lawrence is taken to be immediately executed and shot. The 2 Black Hats ramble at each other a bit, and then they use the cigar to blow up the lock. That's why the one match, he needed to light the cigar. Here's the thing though. They cut to the Hunger Games control room that it is watching in live time, so they know that the trick he's about to do with the cigar. And they have to authorize the explosions. Somebody explain this to me, because I get how the prop cigar works. It's got a blasting cap in it, or gunpowder, you know, the basic, it's trick fucking cigar. You can buy them, it's just a little stronger. So this is a real thing. It's a physical thing, and so there is a physical chemical reaction taking place when he sets fire to it. So how could they have stopped it? How could they have prevented it? You know, or is everything holographic? Is nothing real? Like they can. We'll see later. They can affect other stuff too. But I need some why. How do they have the technology to do this? Because everything else that we see in the supposedly real world of the control building in their areas, the tech doesn't seem all that far in terms of looks. Obviously, we can't 3D print people yet. They are working on it. No joke. It's being worked on. Cells have been printed. It's crazy. So this may be possible in like 50 to 100 years. But it's the tech we see them using. Like they have cell phones, they have iPads seemingly. It's touchscreen technology. It doesn't seem to be that far ahead, and we definitely can't do the things they're shown doing in the park. And also later on. So there seems to be like contradicting levels of technology in terms of what they can, what you would need to do what they're shown doing, and what they're shown to have don't seem to quite meet up. Maybe there'll be more on that. Maybe it'll get explained a bit more. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, I'm so sorry. Then we have Black Hat saves Lawrence with more just shooting everybody. We don't even see it. But they go back to the gang, and now it's story time, and she says there were men in mass who slaughtered her entire village. She pretended she was dead too, and when she grew up, she hunted them all down and killed them, and has been using their blood to ink her tattoo. And it turns out she's talking about Wyatt, who Teddy was after. At this point, I'm wondering, is Wyatt the new storyline that Ford is working on? Is he the big new storyline? Because he made the changes to Teddy. So, yeah, I'm wondering. Oh, excuse me. Then there are, for some reason, a bunch of savages, their word, walking through Sweetwater. Just literally, they're just walking through town, okay? And one of them drops a toy that Maeve sees, and it looks like the guy in the clean suit. So she's like, "What is this?" And she's told no one will tell her because she's not one of them. They'll never speak to her. Then we go to Bernard and Boss Lady in their apartment, and he says, "You're just using me for sex," which she doesn't deny. She's kind of like, yeah. But he gets her talking, and she says, Ford is causing so much trouble. The board is gonna like come down on him. I gotta talk to him. And again, she's very protective of Ford. Like some people are very protective of him, and I'm not really sure why, because especially in this episode later, he's a serious dick to her. And then we finally see, we go over to Ford, we finally see him and what he's up to, and he's happy, and there's this huge ass, like, digging, blasting, mining, reconstructing whole cliffs machine. Somebody tell me, is this an actual real machine as it's shown? Because obviously it's CG, you can tell, but does it really exist? And I get why they couldn't get a real one if it does. But it's huge, and he's just tearing the fuck out of everything. He's redesigning literally the landscape itself of the place, which can't really be undone so easily. You know, and he doesn't care what he's going through or what's in the way. No, he's just, no. This is getting done. He's making his story. He doesn't care what he's screwing up. And it's interesting because one of the first things we ever heard about him was that all he cared about was the guests being happy and never ever disrupt their good time or their storylines and everything just so. So, you know, at least they established he's acting out of character. I wish we could have seen him in character before we get to the out of character, because we only have the other characters to tell us that this is out of character for him. So I just wish it was a little backed up more. But she goes up to him, and you know, she's trying to talk to him. He's not paying her any attention at all. So they go for lunch at a nice like Spanish-looking villa, big house, great view over some kind of crops. There's a lot of hosts like walking around being waiters and like working in fields and like all kinds of stuff. And he says, he talks about back at the beginning, which is a recurring theme of him, when it was just him and Arnold, and they had a bet over what kind of storylines would be would attract more guests, what would people gravitate towards more. Basically, they had a white hat, black hat bet. And Ford was on the white hat side. He said people want to have fun, you know, they just want good, clean, wholesome entertainment. And Arnold said, no, people want to wear the black hat. They want to do depraved and horrible things. And Arnold won by a wide margin. He won it. And then we have Ford again showing his God complex, and this goes to what I was saying earlier, that I think he is playing God in more than one way. He admits it here. He says, we play God in this world that we've created. It is a world. It's not a business. Me and Arnold were gods here. Even the guests were not equal to us, because they could do anything, but we controlled everything. And really, the kind of, what that would do to your head, where literally you are God in this world. You can change anything. You can change the animals, the landscape. You can change people's entire personalities. You can make them forget whatever you want, remember whatever you want, feel whatever you want. You can do whatever you want to them. I would like some flashbacks of Ford trying some things in the park. Did he ever? What did he do? I think that he must have tried some things at least. I would love to see that. And it's very creepy, this scene. Oh, so sorry. But the scene gets really creepy as all of a sudden all the hosts just freeze in place, and there's a guy pouring wine and the glass is overflowing, and eventually he just pours the whole bottle because they've all frozen. And Ford, again, nonplussed by anything. Dude this is so zen. This is what I mean. Like, he is the guy that knows what's going on, so he's the only one unaffected by it. But he's definitely enjoying himself and indulging a bit of a maybe masochistic, sadistic tendency as he's like watching these other people be confused by what he's doing and sometimes distressed by it. As in this case, because he creeps her out massively. She had mentioned that she had come here as a child. She'd come to the park, and that's, I guess, where her interest in it came from. And now she works here, and that they had lunch, you know, in this place. And she realizes Ford has taken her to the exact same table that she sat at with her parents all those years ago. And it's so creepy. And she's like, how do you know that? And he says, we know everything about our guests, which is so creepy. Like, the secret video files, and there have to be secret video files, of powerful people doing horrible and disgusting things. Like, you could fund this place forever just on the blackmail. And don't tell me those don't exist, because they definitely exist. They have to. And I want to see all of them. But, you know, it's very creepy, and he gets straight threatening with her. He threatens her job and says, you know, I've seen a few of you come and go, and stay out of my way, basically. And then in a moment of all creepy, all the hosts suddenly leave the area, and the ground starts to shake, and it's the big digger wrecker thing coming over the hill to destroy the house that they're sitting in and the fields and everything. And Ford says, "I'm not sentimental," which is again a really interesting line for him, because most of what we hear him talk about is the past with Arnold, the past, and yes, you are sentimental. You have a basement full of old versions of plots and old things of the past. You have that antique shop in your basement, so very, very interesting. You know, and arguably he's destroying a part of the park that probably doesn't matter to him. He brought her there because it was a sentimental place for her, and to destroy it then right in front of her is just really more creepy. And like, Ford is definitely a very dark character. Like, he does wear the black hat in the world, so it's, you know, it's interesting because he comes off like so nice, but he's like kind of he's not kind of, he is a dick to her, but it's just, yeah, he's got layers, and I like that we're starting to have some real character. He's not just his actions anymore. We're starting to get some of the why and be able to speculate on a little more of the why. Then we go back to Dolores and Co. And they're about to catch the bad guys, so she's got to stay back, little lady. They have a gunfight with Logan basically just rushing in and shooting everyone. He's having a good time now. You know, poor White Hat franchise to take a couple shots. He's not really effective, and he's basically just hiding the whole time. But then we cut over to OG Black Hat, and they're now after Wyatt. So they find Teddy, which, interesting. We only see Teddy for like a second. Again, this whole scene is like 15 seconds long. He's like staked out to a tree and he begs to die, and Black Hat's like, yeah, I'm not going to kill you, but he cuts him down, so I guess Teddy will be with them. Then back to Dolores. Whoa, the jumping around, really, like, I get whiplash. And Logan decides he's going to call an audible, because the guy they caught, he's saying, you know, I got a brother, I think he says, or like a friend who, you know, he's the biggest bad guy ever. He's worse than me, but he's really rich. You know, if you take me to him, I'll give you double the money. So Logan's like, yeah, sure, I'll shoot the marshal. And, you know, then the two friends get in a fight. And I finally get Jimmy's name. His name is William, don't call me Billy. And I like that little bit, the way he snaps at him, don't call me Billy. Like, how long have these guys been friends? Like, I'm getting the impression, like, maybe they've been friends since, like, kindergarten or something. And they mentioned some kind of family business, which just, you know, I don't even want to go there yet. But, you know, the guy's like, hey, you know, I did your bounty hunter good guy thing. Now come do my wild, depraved equivalent of Donkey Show Tijuana thing. So that's where they're headed, and they're taking Dolores along. So she's really going to get an education. Control is watching, as there's about to be a big show, big action set piece about to happen. And the music in this scene, I'm sorry, I get why they chose it, but it just becomes way too self-aware for me. Really is. And I can get maybe trying to show the perspective of the control room people and what it's like for them to watch, but I don't want to know that. That's not the world we're following. The show is called WestWorld. I want to see WestWorld. I would honestly be okay with never seeing the control again. I do like some of the tech parts, but if we never saw the control again, I'd be okay with this. Because really it just brings up a lot of questions and they don't seem able to answer. Then we have Black Hat and Co. They're the big action event. They ride into town, they start shooting the place up, they want to steal something, or I guess various things. They're basically just robbing the town. And Maeve gets the drop on the leader with the fancy black hat. And she says, hey, you know, I'm not going to shoot you, I just want to talk. And I'll give you the safe combo. I'll tell you how to break into it, make your job a snap, if you tell me what this drawing means. Because I guess he knows, like, native legend or something. So he's like, okay, you tell me the code and I'll tell you the story. But while that's going on, there's another group of guests about to come in, and I guess Control doesn't want them walking into a shooting ambush, so they're like, okay, start shutting it down, shut down the bad guys' guns. And this is, again, how do they do it? They cause all of the bad guys' guns to jam simultaneously and instantly. How do they do this? Like, literally, how? Like, if it's some kind of, like, Star Trek level of tech gun, how does it then look and work like a 18 whatever pump action revolver? Like, what is going on here? I need an explanation for how they're able to do these things instantaneously in real time. I need that. Maeve is told that the native thing, it's called a shade. It's able to walk between worlds. That it comes from hell to watch over the living world, which is creepy. We don't get much more than that, because she has a knife and she tells him, cut my stomach, because she remembered that they had to rush her back, and so they left a bullet fragment in her. She heard this. He says, you know, she's lucky to be able to see them, that it's like a blessing or something. She disagrees, and since he's a coward, she stabs herself, basically, and shoves his hand inside her, and he does indeed find the bullet fragment, and she puts it together. This has happened before. I've died before and been brought back. And she seems to take that as an I can do anything now statement, because none of it matters if I will just keep coming back. And I'm curious to see how fast she goes crazy. The end of the episode is very strong with that. The two of them making out while she's, like, bleeding, and they're about to get shot, and she's like, it doesn't matter because I'll come back. The jumping around is still really annoying. The story is starting to hold my attention at least some of the time, but that was when we had the 3 scenes in a row, so I had something to focus on instead of bouncing here, there, and before I can even, you know, process that little 7-second scene, I've got 3 other 7-second scenes. So I like that things are starting to be connected. The show's definitely growing, the characters are starting to be developed, and there's a lot more interest for me now, so I'm looking forward to Ep 5. For now, I am InsaneLayne, and that was WestWorld Season 1, Episode 4. Bye-bye.